Brizzalone. Here. Dollinger. Yes. Fritz. Mayor. Moran.
Present.
Parker. Here. Rice. Winfrey. Here. And Chumanella. You have a quorum. We also have Mr. Eustace.
All right, Mr. While you're standing,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda is approval of minutes from October 2nd.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by a voice vote of aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There is no old business. First thing under new business is the discussion of surface parking improvements for the county-owned land south of the new courthouse. Update.
Jason, can you turn Mr. Chairman and members of the Capital Committee, good morning. Each of you should have a copy of the concept plan. I think it's a little bit more developed than just the concept plan, a little bit further along than that with respect to surface parking required for the new courthouse. And what's contemplated here is that in the county-owned property south of Washington Street, that that it's partially used for surface parking for employees now. It also has two buildings which would be demolished, and the entire property would be reconfigured in order to maximize the number of parking spaces that we could get in there, and also to provide for secured parking in the upper 50-some spots for secure parking for judges, and the rest would be for employee parking. So we have a kind of like a first estimate based on, I would call it more of an opinion of probable cost as opposed to a hard estimate, and with several assumptions in there. And I think that all of the work here in summation is valued about $3 million. So I do have the construction manager who is en route to this meeting to talk more specifically about the estimate, but I'd like to turn it over a little bit now to Mr. Dwyer, who, by the way, has laryngitis. Sorry.
Yeah, so forgive the voice here, sorry. Yeah, we worked a little bit with Gil Bain to kind of pull this together in terms of a concept plan, with the idea being that we would get the judges parking in that northwest corner, which is closely aligned to where the judges' secured entry is from the courthouse. So that's consistent with the plan we've had, since we've been looking at this piece here. In terms of the logistics for the site, it's probably about, I'll say 50 to 55 locations, secured spaces for judges, and then probably another 140, give or take, for other, county parking. There's going to be a requirement for stormwater detention, much like what we had at the courthouse site itself. We're looking at doing underground detention so that we can maximize the usable area of the site. And I think Dave covered it. The idea here is to eliminate the two existing buildings on this site because they're kind of right in the footprint area where we want to put the secure parking. And Dave, I think we are looking at a small storage building, I think at the very southwest corner of the site too, to house some maintenance vehicles in that. I don't know if that's a must-do, but that's kind of what's contemplated right now, is kind of an offset. The white building right now stores some of your maintenance equipment for the area.
Okay.
And it also should be noted that from a scheduling standpoint, if we were to undertake a plan like this for surface parking improvements, the time to start it would be early spring of 2020. We could not do it any sooner than that because of the city's plan to redo the current courthouse parking lot and open up Chicago Street. So I felt that that would be worth mentioning. So it has to come in after that's completed.
Mike? Don?
How big is the current maintenance building? Because I see what the new one is 2,700 square feet.
I can go check real quick.
I'm just wondering, did we talk to anybody about, is that adequate, the 2,700 square feet versus what we have now? I don't know what's in there, so.
What's in there now is, it's underutilized. It's not, there's a lot of storage going on in there now. It's probably oversized for really what we need. We're basically talking about snow removal,
Right.
possibly.
I just want to make sure that, I just want to make sure that someone who's putting stuff in there that we know we have to have, that building would be adequate. I mean, we can always extend that building a little bit if we need to, so.
Let me go.
That's what I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, we currently have our snow equipment that the county employees use, but we also have a few storage items, like desks and some other stuff.
Junk, you mean?
It's not junk, I would say that a lot of people use it still, it's just, it doesn't match with maybe somebody else's, so we have onesies and we use that to store that there. Obviously, we'll clear out some of the stuff when we demo, but there will be some stuff that we need to flex a little bit with the county.
I mean, I'm just, so that building is adequate, you think, for what we need. Because I think it's a lot smaller than the existing building.
I think it provides the extra storage for the courthouse, there's not a lot in the building, obviously, right, in case, and then any future plans for any other buildings, can be a centralized.
Okay.
Don?
Jason, the stormwater fault cistern, 200,000, how small is this thing? Given what the city's just gone through, running their new sewer rate down in Washington.
Yeah, I mean, even with the new separated storm sewer main, we still have to do detention to hold it for a period of time. I think it's going to be about 1 acre foot of volume is required, so about 40,000 cubic feet of water storage there. And, I'm looking at Dave Lesniak, is this kind of tied based on some of the data we got from the courthouse bids to come up with that number?
Yeah, it's just a portion of it, figuring that it's a parking lot. I know that it's, we're covering everything. It's just our kind of guesstimate without knowing the volume right now. I mean, I can throw any kind of a number. I just tried to throw something that seemed to be reasonable based on what we had and even the courthouse.
It seems to me, based on what this city ran into on Washington Street, which is just a little bit south of the courthouse, that they seem to have a lot of problems with that line, moving limestone.
Actually, Washington was a decent case for them. Yeah, it was Lafayette, and I don't know what they're gonna run into on Joliet Street, but Washington, surprisingly, they never really hit the Dolomite rock. In fact, even on the corner of Joliet and Washington, they went down 18 feet. They didn't hit anything but garbage. Yeah.
I would say too that, you don't necessarily have to go very deep with this. We could keep it as a shallower, underground detention, because it's not a huge volume. One of the things I was suggesting is just to keep it toward the southern part of the site as much as possible, so that, if ever down the road you were to do anything else on this property, if you did a new building or something somewhere down the road, you'd probably front more on Washington Street, so keeping the detention out of that footprint, just for future planning purposes.
Scott, would you like to come up? I know you something, and then I'm gonna go to you, Jim.
I could just talk a little bit to the detention. From an elevation standpoint, you're gonna need a foot above those underground chambers and then another foot for the pavement structure, so 2 feet of cover. And then, so you can get quite a bit of detention under that. So I don't think we're gonna have to go too deep with it, similar to what we did under the courthouse.
Okay.
I mean, it seems very doable.
Excellent. Jeff?
There's two things I wanna,
I understand it's doable, but for 200,000,
Yeah.
yeah,
that's the question.
it's expensive, and, yeah, it's,
Well, until I really get a footprint of what I need, I can put a better number to it, but until I really get that footprint, I won't know.
It's a pretty straightforward calculation for an estimate that can be done pretty quickly.
You satisfied?
there's two things I wanna mention, and it's related to this, but, when you look at it overall, when we look at the overall, plan, and that is this, is that first, you know, I park in that parking lot that's south of the, tracks pretty regularly, actually. And, you know, that's when it's across the street from the, jail, that we did the swap with Joliet. I've never been in that lot when it's been full. It's an underutilized lot, and, you know, we have to start telling people, you need to park there. You know, it's not that bad of a walk from that lot over to the courthouse, for example. So this is part of the overall, and this is more, I guess, Dave, for you, in the executive's office, in the, I guess, chief judge too, or Roger, I think Roger's out here somewhere. Roger. I mean, you have to tell people to start utilizing this lot. You know, the idea that they can't walk this, you know, less than a block, and the lot very often is half full, or half empty, depending on what you. So I wanna point out, I don't think that lot's being utilized to its full potential. And we have to start, you know, letting, especially our employees, you know, to say, you start using a lot. Especially those employees we're giving stipends to for parking. I just wanted to point that out. But the other comment I wanted to make is the old courthouse. You know, I see demolition coming there in a fairly timely manner to that building, once it's totally vacated. And I don't see that property being developed initially. I mean, I do think it's a good site for multi-purpose, private sector, government. I've been told that Joliet even has an interest in maybe moving over there to build a building that they would occupy part of the building or own part of the building and so forth. And I do think it's a good site for all that. But it's gonna take a while to build that, so, in the interim, do we use it for parking? Should we develop a parking, should that be part of the overall development of a parking strategy? At least, you know, I'll throw out a date at the time, at least maybe for the next 8, 9, 10 years, because you think it might be that long before the county could develop that for a number of reasons. And/or it might get developed privately, I don't know. Yeah, I think it has a lot of potential, that parcel. So, but in the interim, shouldn't it be part of our overall parking strategy? Now, like I say, maybe that building doesn't come down until 2022, but nevertheless, you know, should we be taking a look at that as part of the schematic or plan? So I just want to point that out.
Any other questions?
I would just say, I agree with you, Jim, on using that other parking. I mean, even on this parking plan, if you park down by the maintenance building, you're farther away from the courthouse than if you park just under the viaduct at the other parking lot. So as far as space and how far it is to walk, the other parking lot does need to be utilized. However, I do think we need to look at this as a parking lot. We're not going to use this property, I don't think, for anything else at this point. this is a good location, especially for judges parking. I do think we need to get the numbers down, we need to be a lot tighter on the numbers. If we're gonna move forward with something like this.
Jim?
Can I ask a question? Maybe, one of we have construction folks here, design people here. If we knew we were gonna use that for parking temporarily, does that change the demolition of the building? Do we do crushing? Do we leave some stuff on site? I don't know if that would change. If we knew we were gonna use it for parking, say for the next 10 years, does that come into the overall strategy of how the building is demolished? And what's left, do you just fill in the basement for now? You take everything out? Of course, the basement's the old jail, so, I mean, can you leave it in place for a period of time knowing it's there? Should it all come out at one time? So I'm just asking you, is that part of an overall strategy on demolition?
Right now with the parking lot, primarily, just so everybody understands, when this started, it was mainly to try to get judges parking. Close proximity to the south west corner, because that's where their entrance is. So that's where it started, and it just, it grew. Now, if you're looking at demoing that building across the street, the old courthouse, the earliest you're gonna be able to demo it is sometime in probably the spring of 2020, which at that point, 21, sorry, yes. 2021 would be the earliest that you would be able to demo that building probably. So it really just depends on how much parking you really need to accommodate for prior to the new courthouse opening, okay? And right now, we're looking to accommodate, as in the fenced-in area, the judges parking, the rest of it is what I would call employee parking at that point. But you're gonna need something unless you are gonna tell everybody that they must go south of the tracks and park and walk to the building and just do the judges parking in the corner over there.
I think we, and this is, I think that we should direct people to move to parking at south lot, south of the tracks. It's not that far. And I might point out that this was, when we did the land swap with Joliet, this was part of the strategy that people that worked in that area, because the sheriff's department utilizes the Cogwood Street lot that we also developed. We developed a lot of parking over time. So the sheriffs will all park in that lot, and video visitations over in that lot. Not to mention, I mean, it's a pay lot that, we have Joliet's commuter lot that's rarely full. I mean, if you have to get parking, and generally that's paid parking, and that's not to say we can't even work something out with Joliet, because it pays spaces for county employees. So I find it interesting that our I don't know if they do anymore, but it used to be that our jurors were parking in that south lot, but yet our employees didn't. We told the jurors they could walk. So, here again, just better utilization of what we have, or the assets we have. I think it's something we have to look at and encourage people to use.
Yeah,
With Denise, I'm sorry.
Just wondering, is there any advantage to us money-wise to, that corner's already cleared more or less, there's a lot of parking there. If we only improve from Ottawa Street to that alleyway that's beside Julie's building there, we just did that section as judges parking, could we get enough spaces to accommodate judges, only judges, and would that save us any significant money?
Well, you're gonna have, that lot itself, I think,
You know,
has to be
can we take
resurfaced
this
and that, and then we'd have to look at tension. The thought process for the, putting it on Washington and Joliet, on the corner of Washington and Joliet, was that it was in close proximity to their judge's entrance. If I put it on Ottawa, that means they're walking down Washington Street to get to their,
So they're gonna come in on the southwest corner?
they're gonna come in on the southwest corner.
Southeast, okay, so they're coming in over here.
Right.
So that's why you want to take this in.
Right.
Okay.
Roger, can you come up and?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one point. I know from the plan that I saw, we're also including some handicap parking in that corner. So I know that that's been a concern for all of us, that we have enough parking spots. So at the closest corner there, which would be, I guess, the corner of Washington and Ottawa, we have some spots already designated, and we may increase that. So the lot, even though it is for employees, judges, whatever, there is some spots specifically designed there because there's not a lot of space around the building right now for that kind of parking. In addition, there are some squad cars for probation will be parking that lot, a very small number. It is a multi-purpose lot. I agree with Jim that we do need to encourage our employees to use the lot south of the tracks, but I think that the lot that they're talking about also includes some things we had talked about before.
I think and I don't think we have to spend money on this, do a little bit of our parking analysis here. We need to get a count on a daily basis of who's parking on the other side of the tracks, and how much space, how many spaces we have open. We also kind of need to determine, though, if we do have employees parking there now, how many that are already taken up, because if it's the same employees and they're still parking there, then we don't add them to the count of this. So, but I do think we need to find out where our open spaces are, because if we have 100 spaces there every day, it's going to make a big difference in what we need to move forward with. I do think that this is a good plan, a good idea, and we're in the discussion, we're not voting on anything, so I think we need to go a little deeper and get the number a little tighter so we really know what we're looking at. And I know we have to do some things to do that, but
Do we know how many spaces you want to accommodate?
that's the key, we don't. We don't know what we have open on the other side.
No.
It seems like there's two different kinds of spaces. We have spaces that we need to accommodate judges in, and then we have spaces that we need to accommodate everybody else, whether they're employees, jurors, or whatever. So I think we need to make those distinctions so that we're looking at, if we're doing a lot on this corner here, like the tire place was, is that just the judge's parking lot, or is that everybody?
No, it's just the judges.
Okay, because that's a different thing than to me, than putting everybody in here, because then you still have the lot that's here, that you direct people to, that's the one south of the track here. This would be judges only, and this then is your retention area, is that correct?
The retention is underground,
So you could park on top.
yes.
But you don't necessarily need to, because you really want, what you're looking for is to accommodate this corner entrance.
Right.
Here.
I'm looking to accommodate that southwest corner entrance for the judges, so that's why the secure area has been pushed to the Washington-Joliet Street side.
So if you did that, then here, you could just leave that as green space and push people under, and you wouldn't necessarily have to develop that now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to, I mean, really, it's just what would you like to do? And really, when it started out, it was having space for the judges to park.
Denise brings up a really good point. She says, there's different types of parking. At the next committee meeting, can you put together a map? I know we used to have a really nice one up there. Things have changed. Buildings are coming down, potentially buildings are going up. The First Midwest is gone. When that map was up there, it painted clearly a different picture than what is going to be in the next couple of years. I'd like to be able to have the entire committee get something that says, this is where all our potential parking at, the pay lot from Joliet, the jurors lot where we anticipate the judges, I'm sorry?
Well, that's the jurors' lot, I think they do parking stops, so they need to get count of like that usage.
And we'll get with Roger can give you some numbers, give you some counts, and then we could make a good decision based on some accurate numbers and understanding and knowing where the lots are in proximity to the future courthouse. Everybody good with that?
Good direction.
Good. All right. No other questions? Moving on. Next on the agenda is authorizing the Will County Executive to accept the project control estimate for the Health Department project and commence construction and post-construction phase services. Dave? Oh, move this second. Jim? It's properly moved in second. And this, by the way, is going to go to the full board. This is not just, this is not authorized by the committee. Jim?
I'm going to bring up a subject that really deals with budgeting and relates directly to the health department. In the county executive's budget, he does not fund the health department. Now, there's additional bonding. And when asked, was this an oversight? They said, no, it's not an oversight, we didn't fund it. So I'm very reluctant. So what that means is, the county board then would have to change the executive's budget to provide the funding for the health department. So currently, it's not funded. And,
Are you referring to operations?
No.
Operations
no,
department?
the building is not
Building.
funded.
Okay.
So here's
Construction's not.
here's what it is that we make the executive's office aware that we are going to have to go out and get some additional bonding, which is probably, let's just say 30 million, to complete all the other projects. You know, the animal control and EMA will be cash.
Yeah.
So we're not bonding for that. We'll use cash reserves and with the animal control that was accumulated over a period of time. Okay. So that money's been sitting there. So they have the money for that. But to complete the current projects, we knew that we were going to have to bond additional funds. We don't bond before we need it, so we just bonded for the courthouse, basically. And knew we were going to have to come back and bond for the health department. And I might add that under the encouragement of I would say probably Steve Wilhowie, former county board member, he encouraged us to expand the parameters of the bond authority ordinance to make sure that the health department would be funded. So I would suggest that we not move forward with the health department project. We kind of put things on hold. I mean, you can do what you need to do, I guess, here, until we know it's going to get funded. Now, I can tell you that Mike has asked Melissa, and I've talked to Melissa, she has, they've worked on a budget that does include the funding of the courthouse. But that also means we have to cut some other things out. So, but since it's not,
Yeah.
health department, I'm saying. But since it's not funded, and the county executive is basically saying, I suggest we don't fund it. I don't know what he's saying actually, but he didn't fund it. So there is no money in the budget currently for the health department project. I don't believe it was, like I say, when asked, it was pretty much, it's not an oversight, we didn't fund it. So, I wouldn't do anything with the health department now. I would just wait until we know we have a budget that funds it. So just throwing it out, I hate to move forward with things, then we don't have the money. So we haven't committed the money, I should say. It's not we don't have it, but we haven't committed the money. And of course, as I've said, and many of us have said over time, it is how you prioritize things. I mean, you can't, so I don't want to get into too far in the weeds here, but you do hear comments, well, you're doing this at the expense of services and so forth and so on. Well, I don't know, does the board want to continue, do they want to fund this? Because until you approve a budget that says we're putting it in, or at least there's a strong indication from both caucuses that we will not approve a budget that doesn't fund it, and we will approve a budget that funds it, I wouldn't move this along. I just wouldn't move it along. I mean, so anyways, that's my concern.
Before I go to Mike, you made a comment, you said, well, you could move forward with this and you could go ahead. What does that mean? Because if we go forward with it, I don't think, and we
Well,
can't afford.
I personally don't think you should approve, I personally don't think you should approve anything in relation to the health department today.
So could we table it?
You can table it, you can remove it, and the reason, the only reason I would say remove it is because that gives the ability to bring it back to like the executive committee. You know, so you would.
So if we remove it, then the executive committee
could move it forward and put it back on the, but I would tell you that I'm not gonna vote for something that is not funded. So,
Mike,
Yeah, and I was gonna speak about this at finance, which is Thursday after the executive committee this month. I think you're 100% correct. If we approve these awards in a county board, a different budget doesn't get approved. There's no way to fund any of this stuff. $0 in there for bonding. So until we get finance committee to want to move forward with funding this, we get some indication from the executive what his thoughts were. I mean, I know in his State of the County speech, he said we're building this, but then he didn't put any money in for it. So we can't bond if we're not gonna budget for the dollars that we have to pay the bonds on, which we have to start next year. That's a decent amount. I mean, I think there's ways that we can get there, but not if we're gonna wind up with the county executive's budget. It's not there.
I know Sue's got her hand up. Does any committee members have anything to add? Don?
I just would ask, what happens with the bid process and how long can we delay this before we have to rebid the job?
It's a good question.
Because,
Mary would probably-
you know, every day ticks closer to wage increases and stuff that happen typically in June. You know, at what point do we have an adverse effect on the contractors who already did this? And we've already got the numbers on the street now for what we plan on doing, so that makes rebidding it that much more difficult to get an impartial bid. So,
the only thing I would say, Don, is that when you vote on the budget, was
November?
The 15th.
November
15th, November 15th. So we're only 2 weeks out, say, of voting for the budget.
So let me ask you a question. If finance goes before capital, can finance go and then this be on the capital budget at that meeting?
Here's what I think, and if people disagree with my kind of logic here, jump up and say, well, I wouldn't say that, whatever. I think that whatever budget comes out of executive, I would think that would give us a reasonable indication. But it doesn't mean you wouldn't have a number of people, when it gets to the full county board, voting no on a budget. Usually that is the case, so there's always people who are gonna vote no on the budget. I think that this is, here's what I would say is that, leadership in both caucuses, I think, have to give some indication what they're going to support in their caucus. And we had some feedback then. I'm sorry, Herb's not here today, usually here, but, I think we can get some indications pretty quick of what we're gonna do, so. I don't think we necessarily have to wait, and I do think what happens at the, finance committee is gonna give us really a pretty good indication. And your meeting
So my meeting is right after yours on Thursday.
on Thursday, so
I mean,
we,
all we're doing is
so we have a
Thursday.
pretty good indication.
We are,
Is there time to move this to executive or to finance, or is this stuff already on your agenda?
It's already on Mike's agenda.
It's not.
Which?
No, not the bid awards. The awards are not on it.
Well, let me say this, Don, that executive committee will meet on, on the 8th, so it's gonna be on the 1st and the 8th. So to answer your question, yeah, there's time, we can do it on the 8th. On the 8th, so you'll be delaying it, whatever, 10 days or whatever.
But that still puts it before the budget gets approved.
Yeah, but that's true, but if the committee says, this is the budget we're gonna bring forward, you know, there'll be no other budget than potentially going forward.
And it'll be in.
Then it would be in there, then you have to either vote yes or no on the budgeted funds, or you would have to amend. I mean, I will still take, there will still be, I asked Melissa to prepare two versions of the budget. One that includes the funding, and one that doesn't include the funding. So,
So
as
then
you
it's
know,
in
Mike,
place.
Yeah, so
you'll see both budgets.
on the first, we'll just be moving the resolution forward to vote on the budget. Probably won't have the final numbers, but we'll have some highlights of what we can do, depending on if everybody wants to move this forward. Like I said, there's two versions we're working on. One that does not approve any funding for the health department, and one that does.
When do we seat the new board members?
December, first Monday in December. So I anticipate we'll do this before November, before the end of November, so.
I'm gonna get Sue.
Hi, feel like I just got T-boned in a intersection. But, I'm wondering if there's any way to move forward with maybe a conditional approval at this point. You know, we've been told for several months that we really need to work hard and fast on this so that we get the bids in on time and that everything lines up and budget-wise we're gonna be okay. And really, timing is of the essence. We've been working with Kluber nonstop, we've got another meeting today. Can we do this conditionally based upon the funding being in the budget? I have had discussions with both sides of the aisle, there seems to be bipartisan, support on this. I've gotten support from the county executive's office.
But he
I
didn't
don't
budget
think
it, so.
I understand.
So
that.
if he doesn't put money in for it,
I
there's
understand
no money
that.
to build it.
I understand, that's what I'm saying, why can't this be approved
Go get 'em.
conditionally
Cannot-
that the
Cannot
budget,
put conditions.
I've heard that happen before.
Well, let me say this, is
Yeah,
that
put a
I think
condition in the
this gets resolved one way or the other, but I'm anticipating approval by the county board meeting, which is November. So you're just holding up approval of this for a couple weeks. Unless, Sue, there's not support to put in the budget, which I don't think is the case, by the way. You know, but the county executive can't say, I'm for this, but I'm not gonna fund it.
No, I
Yeah, quite
understand.
frankly, I think I'd like to hear from the county executive to say, you know, fund it, and he understands that we'll be changing his budget substantially to do that. Because it's gonna require what, was it 1.8 million?
No, 3.2.
$3.2 million has to be shifted in that budget.
Go get it.
That's significant.
The overall budget amendments will be 4.2 million. It's considerable.
See if he's in his office, or somebody from his office is in their office, and he comes speak. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone.
You can help a little bit with this, because you can tell us if things don't have to be debated. How
So,
long do we have to,
Talking to Mary.
before we can accept nominations?
Um,
How long do we have, or do we have before we have to accept it? How long are the bids for?
The bids, usually the prices, we require them to keep the price open for 90 days. But I don't know how that affects the timing of the construction of the building.
Yeah, I
So we've got two
That's
different
what we're gonna
questions.
hear in a second.
okay, so there's a few things with this, completely understand all of the information. Yes, so the first bid package and why we had this special executive meeting or capital meeting was because this portion was actually on the critical path, which means you can delay it a week, a day, it really doesn't matter, it's a day for day, because it really was, that's why we asked for the special meeting. So the 90 days has nothing to do with the schedule, that's a pricing thing. So that's for you guys to decide, so if you approve it on the 1st or the 8th, it's just going to push the start of the 11/26 date, however many days it gets approved.
At the beginning of the meeting, you walked out by the time we got to number one.
That's,
Well, let me, you know, kind of just move this. The executive committee meeting is Thursday. Even though we don't have the time to put it on the agenda, you know,
What if
They
we
can call a
the-
special meeting.
What if we call a special capital meeting?
You
You
could
do
do
that.
that, yeah,
What's it, what would be the earliest date we could do that?
Well,
Or the latest.
Friday.
2 days before. 2 days,
It's
48 hours.
2 days.
Well, you could do it today and do it next Thursday if you wanna do it at noon.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right, we got.
We'll get the, I mean, by the time next Thursday comes along, we'll understand where the executive committee wants to go, and then we're the owner's agent. For the, oh, he's on his way.
Okay, so you could, I would post that now, just in case the discussion goes longer, you could cancel it. Special capital meeting, say it'll, what's it, 10:30 up there, 11?
This Thursday?
No,
Yeah, you could do it this week if you want. If people can come, people can come.
Yeah, what about the 8th?
I wanna hear more about the critical path before I go to the 8th versus the 1st.
Okay, so that's the first, it's a day for day. You could do it tomorrow, you could do it in 2 days, but it'd be a day for day, because it really was the critical path of the site. The other thing is, we're now getting into the winter, so the further you push this along, the more you're into the winter, which we all know could be fun. It's again, just giving everyone the facts, you do.
You'll make up 9 days.
Yeah, Mother Nature is gonna do whatever Mother Nature wants to do, and when we get to November, December, it could be 70 degrees, it could be negative 30, I just can't, but that doesn't matter. The other thing is, I think I heard during the initial phase of this, you guys wanted to bid out everything before the end of the year. So now you're pushing out the bidding, because you're saying you're basically stopping everything. So the bidding that's going on right now is on the hold. Again, a few days, not the end of the world, but depending on what you guys decide, you've pushed out 2 a few weeks, which pushes out 3, and 3 was already hovering on that
To bid out by
2018
the end of the
edge,
year.
by the end of the year. Also, as we all know, which I think Don actually had said, tariffs are a real big thing right now. So the budget is based on, being able to bid all of those things. It's volatile. You just don't know what's gonna happen. So it's just all of those things you have to take into account. Obviously, you don't have the funds, it's a whole different thing, but it's a few things that will domino it.
Okay.
You want something that's fun?
Well, it's like getting a cash register and not having the money to pay for it. I know you just walked in at the last second, but Jim just informed the committee that the funding for the health department is not in the budget that's coming forward to the county. And we're getting concerned about awarding 7 or 8 bids that pay for the project with no funding in the actual budget.
So, when we issued the bonds for, in 2016, the 175 million, it was understood that amount would cover the courthouse, and it was understood, or the board had discussed going back out to bond to cover the health department. Now, that was not in the 2019 budget, and we're working through to include that in the final board approved budget.
So is it, but it's not in the proposed budget that came from the county executive.
That's correct.
So, so now, the question is that, is the county executive supporting the funding of the health department? Because this was not an oversight. My understanding is that it's not an oversight, that the county executive was aware of, that it did not include funding for the health department building. So how are we to interpret that? Does that mean that the county executive is not going to fund the health department building? Or was he just saying, I'm not going to complete the budget, I'll leave the hard decisions up to the county board and let them make all the adjustments, let them make cuts to stuff, so I can say I funded services and they cut it. I mean, you can't have it both ways. So, so I want to know from the county executive, does he support cutting some of the operational funding he put in to support the capital can't say, I can't, you can't say, well, I don't wanna make the tough decision, and I'll be on everybody's side. I mean, so, for me, I guess what I'd like to hear from the county executive is, yes, I understand we're gonna have to cut other areas in operations to support the health department building, and I support those initiatives.
You want to respond, Nick?
I mean, I think you should be careful, Nick, until you're talking to county executive,
For the new debt service,
but if you know,
3.2.
I wouldn't speak for it.
Clarification, did I understand
Can you
Rashawn
speak
say?
with your mic on? I can't hear you.
Did, oh, there we are. Just for clarification for me, Rashawn, did I understand you to just say that you were working to include the money?
Correct, we're working, Melissa and I were working through.
Now
to
they
put
are.
that now.
Okay,
That's what we're doing.
But
Yeah,
that's what the
that's-
county
I'm
board
just-
is doing.
I'm not asking that, I'm trying to be sure that I understood you correctly.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody want to respond?
No, go ahead, Don.
Well, because Sean just said 3.2 million, and Melissa said 4 point something, what's the final meaning?
She's getting it. Okay, did you want to- Anybody have
I
anything
think
to add?
Mike could probably answer that, that included all the
Yeah.
adjustments.
Right, well, that's 4.2 is all the adjustments that we made. So we have some other things that we want to do. 3.2 to 4, and then the final number was what the bonding will cost us next year.
The extra
Next
bond
year's
for the
budget.
health department.
Right, to go out to bond in January, this was going to cost us in the 2019 budget.
Right.
So we're making adjustments to the budget based on that. but-
Sean, you agree with that?
Melissa has the numbers, I hadn't been included in.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? So Rashawn, what adjustments have you been making to include this in your budget?
If you recall, the budget has been turned over to the county board, so any adjustments that are made at this point is done at the county board level.
So basically really nothing at this time.
Well, I can't speak to that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Melissa would have to.
yeah, Melissa would have to.
There's,
3.6, right, Melissa?
Well, there's, Mike, it depends on what version you choose,
Right,
because Leslie
we did
did
a
two
30.
versions for
Right,
us.
we did 33 and a 30.
We did a 30, which is 3.166,
So 3.2.
and then a 33, which is 3.609. So there's two actual versions that we could take.
So we were looking at 30 because we get a premium of about.
But what we figured yesterday, when I gave Rashawn my stuff to prove, I gave her the 3.6, I figured the high one, just in case, whatever one we decided, we'd have.
So it's 3.6, and what was the other number?
3.166.
It's the difference between 30 and $30 million
Yeah.
for the bond.
Leslie ranked, Wells Fargo ran various versions for
So
us.
so it was initially what, 40, and what was the other amount?
40 and 45 we threw away.
Okay,
So we're looking at either 33, which is the 3.6, or 30, which is the 3.166.
okay.
Might be able to do number 30. All in, I don't know, it's gonna be
Bond
tight.
is 33.
Well, there's a little cushion.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I just want to make some clarification, what I think needs to be clarified. All the adjustments that are being made currently are all being done on the county board level. You know, it's not the county executives doing it, it's the county board doing it. You know, but the question is there gonna be support from the county executive for funding, the health department capital project? You know, I know we can make all the adjustments.
Listen,
I know we can make all the adjustments, and Oshana does work with Melissa, but Melissa basically is saying, here are the changes.
She's my second set of eyes.
I know, but I'm saying is the initiative comes from Melissa to try to accommodate what wasn't funded. And, you know, from my perspective is, hey, we all need to get on the same page here, including the executive. You know, don't give us a budget budget doesn't include, when you know that it's something that's moving forward, don't give us a budget that doesn't include the funding. I know we can do it without. We make change, we, I mean, wasn't maybe not last year, maybe the year before that, put in 0 for overtime. Well, we knew it last year, we knew there was gonna be overtime, so we made a $2 million adjustment to what he wasn't funding. To hand us budgets that don't really reflect the funding needs, and then say it's balanced because he didn't fund it, because he didn't want to make whatever decisions needed to be made. I just wanted to point out that, either you're supporting it or you're not. I think that both causes are very much on board, are going to support this. But, I just find it.
But at what expense?
No. Anyway.
So where we are right now is all the necessary adjustments are being made to support the health department's move. So the only thing that's in limbo then is how that affects the critical path things that are going right now, which if we move this issue to the executive committee, we can still make the critical panel and get the funding done, is that correct?
You have to have a
We have to have a special cap.
Well, special cap
So we're
and
gonna
the
call it.
executive will stay on target, is that correct?
I'm gonna ask you to do a special meeting, post it, just so it's posted.
Oh.
We post a meeting at this.
On the first,
Yes, that's
at
it.
11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock.
Except-
You do that now. We're going to make the
Budget on the first.
And these, except it doesn't, we don't know.
I was talking about
Table, we don't know where that 3-point-something million has been cut to, instead of to pay all the
At the first, we need to. Okay, so listen up. We need a 48-hour notice. I'd like to do this as soon as possible. I'd like to do this on the 1st at 11 o'clock. Okay, post it now. And at that time, if we have no resolution out of the executive's office and the county board office on a budget, we could always move it to the 8th. But let's go as early as possible and try to get this done. I believe both sides want it. And this is frustrating to me. Because I come in here on a special meeting, only to find this out. We're all sitting here, we don't have to be here. We come in and then the political games. This is why people hate politics. Because it's a freaking game. Let's not fund it, let's stick it on you, we're gonna make you cut the services, we're gonna make you go out for bonding, we're gonna this, we're gonna that. I understand. We're all here to build the health department. We all want to build the health department. So I wanna come back again in 2 days at 11 o'clock, and hopefully we can get some resolution out of the executive's office, get some answers, come with the county, get some resolution, and we can get this damn thing built. Now, does everybody agree with that? So then, I guess, Mary, what do I need to do on the numbers 2 through 9 for the health part? Do I need to move them, or do I need to table them?
No, you need to move to have a special meeting on
Okay.
Thursdays.
Is there anybody who would like to make the motion for what I just talked about? Moved and second, any discussion? All in favor signify by a voice vote of aye. Opposed, motion carries. We have a special meeting. Now, do I need to move the items to that date, or table them?
They go on the agenda, as long as they're posted, it's fine.
So I just skip right through them?
Skip, well, yeah, I mean,
I don't have to do anything to each one?
I need to remove all those items from the agenda.
Okay, is there a motion to remove items number 2 through 9? No, not the address agenda. Because the other, listen, one guy, one person, please.
Table to the next meeting.
I just want to table the first 2 through 9 because we are paying cash for the animal control and EMA, and there's no reason to hold all those up. Okay? So to move items 2 through 9, there's a motion and a second to table. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next on the agenda is number 11, awarding contract to S&K Excavating and Trucking for the excavation of the Will County Animal Control. Number 10, yeah, whatever. Move, is there a move? A second? All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract to Len Cox and Sons Excavating for the site utilities. Move. Second, all in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract to Abbey Paving for the animal control. Move. second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract to Allied Landscaping for animal control EMA. Moved, seconded. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract to Polera Incorporated for concrete. Moved, second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next is for Awanski Masonry for masonry at the Will County Animal Control and EMA. Moved and second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract to Kingery Steel Fabricators for animal control. Moved, second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract for Champion Drywall and for carpentry, the Will County Animal Control. Moved and second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract to McCoy Construction Company, millwork. Moved and seconded. Is there a second? All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next is awarding contract to Alder Roof and Sheet Metal for the roofing, Adler, for the Will County Animal Control. Moved and second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract to CAD Contract Glazing Corporation for windows. Moved second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next is contract for door systems, overhead doors and animal control. Moved second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract to TSI Commercial Floor Covering. Moved second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract to Cosgrove Construction for painting. Moved second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract to Parvin Claus Sign Company. Moved second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next is contract for absolute fire protection, fire suppression, animal control, EMA. Moved and second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next is contract for Cryer and Olson Mechanical Plumbing. Moved second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract for air quality for mechanical animal control. Moved second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, awarding contract for Nesco Electric for electrical of the animal control. Moved and second. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, there is no more new business. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? No public comment. The only thing I have under Chairman's report, look for another agenda item. You know what, Lana, if we could move the ComEd, Dave, I need that ComEd award on the next agenda as well. That is, as you know, I called each and every one of you for the $1 million, almost $1 million. It's in the budget for moving the ComEd. It was time was of the essence for the closing of the road. So that will be on the future agenda to just do the formality. There's no need for an executive session. The next meeting date is November 13th. There is not a meeting on the 6th. So on the 13th, there's a meeting. Yeah, you're right. It's going to be the first now.
Yeah.
Boy, stuff changes. It's going to be at the first at 11 o'clock directly after the executive session, correct? Executive meeting.
Executive, that's finance.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
You guys earned your.
Yeah. All in favor signify by aye.